Hello again, wise and compassionate parents. Welcome back to Mindful Parenting Channel, our shared space for reflection, heart-to-heart learning, and deeper presence with the children we raise. Every day we lovingly sweep our floors, wash windows until they gleam, and gently prune each leaf in our garden. We insist our children do their chores, dee their desks, organize their toys, wipe the dust from forgotten corners. But there is a quieter room in the house of our lives, one that is so often ignored. It's not our kitchen, not the garage, it's not even the attic. It is our mind. Cleaning the mind means gently sifting out the heaviness of old wounds, clearing the cobwebs spun by stress, shame, and fear. It's not as obvious as tidying a room, yet far more essential for clarity, calm, and joy. Because a cluttered mind overflows into every word we speak, every decision we make, every interaction we have. When was the last time you cleaned it? When did you last teach your child how to do so? And if we never teach our children how to tend to this inner space, they may grow up sweeping the world while tripping over the mess inside them. Let me tell you a story. The old socks. There once was a boy, born in a remote countryside where the winds whispered through dry rice stalks and the rustling bamboo. Behind clay houses sang lullabies to sleeping children. His home was modest, a roof patched with tin and hope, and walls stained with years of hard work and love. His parents, weathered by toil and sun, labored dawn to dusk as farmers and day workers so that their son could pursue what they never had, an education. The boy grew up wearing second-hand uniforms, shoes stitched and restitched with fishing line, and a quiet feeling that he didn't quite belong. His classmates arrived at school in pressed trousers and name-brand backpacks, their hands smelling faintly of perfumed soap. He, in contrast, carried the scent of earth beneath his fingernails and the unshakable burden of self-doubt. But within that worn frame of his burned an ember, the kind that turns coal to diamond. Despite every ache and obstacle, he excelled. Stayed late at school, studied under kerosene light, and graduated from university at the top of his class. His parents wept proud, silent tears when he walked across the stage in his borrowed suit and scuffed dress shoes. His dream to be the first in his family to enter the civil service was within reach. Due to his outstanding achievements, he was recommended to a prestigious government agency, a rare opportunity few could dream of, and so he woke early the next morning, heart pounding with both hope and anxiety. He ironed his only white shirt, cleaned his old shoes until they gleamed like wet stone, and carefully packed his neatly arranged documents. Before leaving, he stood before the mirror, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Let me make them proud today." He arrived at a government building grander than anything he'd seen: polished marble floors, glass walls shining like ice, and air-conditioned rooms that smelled of leather and authority. Nervous but eager to show respect, he quietly slipped off his old shoes outside the interview room, believing it more courteous not to track dirt inside. Inside, a senior officer in a tailored gray suit looked up from his desk. His eyes flicked momentarily to the boy's socked feet. Then, slowly, they narrowed. A faint odor curled into the room, something sharp, sour, and unmistakably human. It came from the boy's threadbare socks, aged and stained by years of faithful wear. The officer smiled thinly, nodded, and after accepting the document said kindly but firmly, "Son, I suggest you go home, take a good shower. Put on a fresh pair of socks and clothes and come back tomorrow. We want to see the best version of you." Shame swallowed the boy whole. His face flushed crimson. But he thanked the officer sincerely and promised to return the next day, cleaner and more prepared. And he did. The following morning, he arrived sharper than ever. Crisp new shirt, polished shoes, hair combed with care. And on his feet a brand new pair of bright white socks. He clutched the receipt to prove it, just in case. Yet as he stood in that same room once again, something unexpected happened. The officer's nose crinkled, his gaze turned sour. With exasperation, he exclaimed, "Didn't I tell you to change your socks?" The boy stammered in confusion. "I did, sir. I bought new socks yesterday. Look, this is the receipt. I wore them, I swear." His words spilled out like rain. Then, as if confessing a crime, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the old pair of socks. "I brought them, just in case." I thought maybe someone might doubt me. And there it was. His clean exterior was no match for the shame he still carried in his soul. He bowed his head sadly and ashamed, leaving the official utterly astonished. And this is today's life lesson. You see, those socks were never just fabric. They were the embodiment of old beliefs of not being enough, not being worthy, not being seen. He had replaced the outer garment, but carried the stench of his past in his heart, holding on to it for validation, for proof. And because of that, no matter how crisp his appearance, the room still smelled of fear and unworthiness. How many of us are like that boy? We put on our smiles, say our affirmations, clean our houses, dress our kids, but inside, we clutch tightly to old, tattered fears, the insults we internalized, the comparisons that crippled us, the voices that told us we would never be more. And if we don't teach our children how to truly let go, to cleanse not only their rooms, but their minds, to replace not only their socks, but their stories, then they may grow up living the same cycle. Let's give them something more. Let's teach them not just to sweep the floor, but to silence the inner critic. Not just to tidy their beds, but to rest in self-compassion. Not just to dress well, but to wear confidence from within. Thank you for following today's story. Hope it helps you in your difficult parenting journey. See you in the next story. Bye-bye.